Hi there, this is just to give you a bit of an idea about how to do some 3D text in Illustrator. So let's just start with a new document, and I'm just going to Control N or Command N, and I'm just going to go with an A4. Let's make it not screen based, high res, and let's make it a CMYK, and let's just say OK, or landscape document, and say OK. And the first thing I want to do is I need to obviously type some text. Now I have downloaded a font which I shall provide you with the URL for, and it's called Pacifico, and I'm just going to make this around about 500 type size. Now obviously when we're doing tutes, the text, the style, everything is selected based on the best result that you can get for the particular method that we're using. So you might need to experiment with these processes yourself to try and, get your text to appear how you want when you're actually customizing the particular view that you want, or the particular style that you want. So let's just start by just reducing the tracking. So I clicked on character here, and let's just reduce the tracking down to around -20. And that's just to bring our text in a little bit closer together. Now, if we change the color, and we're just going to change the color so we can see what happens when we do our extrude. And we'll just change it to a bright pink. Now if I go up into Effect and then 3D, and Illustrator has the Extrude and Bevel option. And first thing, just turn on your Preview button. Now if you can't see all of these options down here, just take note to click on More Options, and you can just sit and have a bit of a play and see the different types of effects that you want. So I've kind of predetermined what I want, so I'm just going to plug in the, that's minus here, I'm going to plug in the options that I want, and I'll make that about 70, and I'm happy with that. I'm just going to say OK to that. So I've got my text here. Now this is editable text. You can click in and change the characters to anything you want. And the next step that we're going to do is we're actually going to convert that from text to an actual shape. But before I do that, I want to just duplicate this. So I'm just going to hold down Alt and click and drag a duplicate version of that. And I do that just so that, I don't have to go through those steps again in case I'm not happy with my result, or in case I stuff up. So let's go into Object now, Expand Appearance, and then Object Ungroup, and Object Ungroup, and ungroup again, and we now have some separate parts. So if I hold down Shift and just select those two front items, if I click and drag off, you can see I've got all those bits behind. So I'm just going to undo that. I'm going to group those two items together, and I'm just going to move those. Actually, I'm not going to move them right now, and I'm going to create a gradient to fill them with. So let's go across to our gradient tool. I'm just going to drag that out onto my artboard, and I'm going to just make a nice dark blue mixed with a nice, actually I want that to be darker, just double clicking on that, dark blue, and I'm going to combine it with a kind of a mid blue, and I'm kind of happy with that as the colors. Now I just want to play around with how my gradient is, so I'm going to click over here. You can press G on your keyboard, and I'm going to click and drag the color or the gradient maker, and I'm just going to try and get a nice kind of from light to dark gradient happening here. Maybe just a slight angle. I want to have some lighter stuff on. Oops. And I think I'm happy with that. That will do me. Okay, so I've got my gradient there. Let me just, I can have a look at that at the -73 there, where that angle's come up. Now, let me just move that out of the way. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into each of these sections, and I'm going to join the individual sections together, because at the moment you can see that they're all in separate pieces. And to do that, I'm just going to go into the Pathfinder. Now that's just one piece, so I don't need to worry about that. This one's made up of two pieces. So let me just bring up the Pathfinder and unite this one here. And that's fine as it is. I want to unite those two. And I need to unite these. And that one's fine as well. Now I'm going to select each of these, and actually I can select probably all of them at once just to save a bit of time. Go into the eyedropper and just click on my gradient here. Oh, I did need to unite that. I'm just going to undo that because I don't know what effect that has. Let me just select all of those and unite. Just click on unite there as well. I'm going to select all of these. On my keyboard to go to eyedropper and click and select those. Now I just need to play around with these gradients to try and get them in the right position so that I've got kind of light coming in the right spot. And I've had a bit of a play previously with those to try and get the right result. Now let me just drag that, before I fiddle around too much, let me just drag that back on and have a look. You know what, I'm actually think I'm happy with that to be as it is. So what I need to do is I just need to position it in exactly the right spot. I don't know what's going on there. Might be just a little bit of tweaking that I need to do separately. Yes, because it's not quite joining up there. So I'm just going to move that up so that I've got no holes in it. That actually looks pretty good. Okay, so I'm kind of happy with the way that looks. What I can do now, there are a couple of different kind of effects and things that you can actually do. What I could do is I can go up into Effect and go into Stylize and go into Inner Glow. Let's just put the preview on here and change that to screen mode. It kind of adds like a little white glow to the top of the inside the actual item. So let me just reduce that down and have a look. And I can say okay to that. So that's one option that I can, just to give it a few highlights. I'm not sure that I'm entirely impressed by that. I think it's got a little bit soft and fuzzy for my likeness. I'm just going to undo that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this again, and I'm going to paste in front, edit, paste in front. And with this I'm going to have no fill. I'm going to have a white outline, and then I can actually play around with the weight of the outline. Let me just show options. So I can have it on the aligned on the inside. Actually, I needed to have unified that. Whoops, undo. Didn't have the right thing selected. I needed to actually have that white, and I just need to make sure I've got the white, the right. Nope. Item selected. Yep, that's the right item there. What I want to do is I want to actually unite. Oh, it's still not getting rid of that. Let me just undo that stroke. Have I undone that stroke? Nope. And I'm actually going to use the shape builder tool, and I'm just going to join those two shapes together so it's one object. And now I'm going to go into my stroke and make it a white stroke, and just increase the weight. And why can't I see that changing? Maybe because I need to be not in that tool there, I need to be in the direct selection tool. Okay, so let's go back up and try again. So white and stroke, and on the inside aligned. And I don't want that quite as obvious, so I'm just going to reduce the opacity of that down and just make it like a kind of soft glow. So I've kind of got a soft glow without that kind of fuzzy effect, which I really didn't like. And there you go, you've got some 3D text that's ready to be made into a logo.